Thank you, Bobby.
At this time, I would like to call the Monday, August 22nd meeting of the Stokes County Commissioners to order. And if you'd please stand for the invocation, I'll lead us, please. Thank you. Dear Heavenly Father, as we come to you today, we'd like to thank you for allowing us to be here today to do the business for Stokes County. We ask that you lead, guide, and direct us in everything that we say and do. We ask that our actions and our words be pleasing to you, and we ask for travel mercy on the way home today, and it's in your name that we pray. Amen. The pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This time, I'd like to amend the agenda to take off the closed session. We're not going to need that today, so you can, and then I'll ask, is there any other corrections or additions to the agenda? And I'll ask for
Motion that we approve the agenda with the deletion of closed session.
All right, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and the next item is public comments, and we have 4 minutes if we have one speaker signed up, so take your time. Kevin Sands, just come up and state your name and address, please.
My name's Kevin Sands. Address is Sizemore Road, Germantown, North Carolina. Lifelong resident. I just want to know each commissioner's opinions on their vision for Stokes County's agritourism side. Just a couple minutes, a couple comments. That's all I'm looking for.
Okay, thank you. All right. All right, so no other public comments, and I'll move to comments for the commissioners and the manager, and I'll start down here with Commissioner Morris.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Welcome to everybody online or in the room here. We appreciate your participation with our local government. I'd like to call attention to one thing. Richard sent the tax bills out this month. I'm sure you've got them. And in there was an enclosure that had a UR code or UC code, whatever you call it, that you can scan and take a survey related to the internet. I would really encourage everybody to take just a couple minutes and take that survey. The maps are being updated, and that will help us get everybody connected with the current contracts that's underway. We also, River Street did receive, I think, the full amount on the NC Great grant. And Shannon, if you got any additional comments, you can make that. I assume they'll update us shortly after maybe meeting with the Internet Committee. On the agritourism, I'm 110% in supporting agritourism. I think it's one of probably the most important economic development things that we need to be looking at and doing in the county to make it as easy as possible for farmers to conduct agritourism events and make money doing so. I also think I would like at some point for us to look at the camping requirements in the county. I think camping maybe needs to be revised a little bit in support of agritourism. It's a perfect opportunity a lot of times for people to camp and enjoy agritourism type events. So I'm all in, and my ears are open for suggestions on how we might improve agritourism. I think it's extremely important. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Mr. Nicholson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good to see everybody. Don't really have no doing anything, but to answer your question, yeah, I've always been in full support of agritourism. I'd ask that you meet up with our economic director, Mr. Will Carter. He has some ideas as well. Be good to get with him and see what he's got going on the plate right there. Okay. All right. Hope you guys have a good day. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Mendenhall.
Thank you. And I want to welcome everybody that's here today. Thank you for coming out and being part of our governmental process that we have in Stokes County. Everybody that's watching us online, I want to say thank you for taking time out also to come in. And I am a very big supporter of agritourism. And Mr. Sands, I think you're probably one of my neighbors. I live on Flat Shoals Road, about 3 minutes from Sizemore Road. So I go up that way every day and go up to 66 and see a lot of agricultural and tourism type things. And I'm a firm believer in that. I'm a lifelong resident of Stokes County. And, it's amazing how things have changed over the last few years, but we can utilize that in a very positive way. And I'm supportive of it at 100%. And it's good to see you. Thank you for coming from Sizemore Road.
Vice Chair.
Great to see each and every one of you today. Appreciate you coming out and speaking about tourism. I watched this young man grow up, so I know where he's coming from, where he lives. Yeah, tourism is a great thing, and I highly encourage it behind it. A lot of things I hear people say is, well, we don't want all the traffic. Well, you got to have one to have the other. So, and go back to what Commissioner Morris said, I think that's something we need to look at as well, is like the campsites or somewhere people stay. That's the biggest complaint I hear from people. We'd love to come here, we'd love to come there, but there's nowhere we can stay. So I think that's a big issue we need to look at as a whole, as a county, and talk to our planning board and stuff, and see if that's something that, we can better ourselves on, where people have somewhere to stay when they come to our county. Again, appreciate you coming out today and speaking.
And I am to echo what my fellow commissioners were saying. I'm a big supporter of agritourism in our county, any type of tourism in our county, but agritourism, I think, is sort of an untapped resource that we've just barely got our feet wet with, but I think it has so much potential in our county. Because somebody told me the other day, they said, have you seen any tobacco planted anywhere this year? And I'm like, come to think of it, I have not. And usually, I'm around the county more so than some people, but I'm like, I cannot think of any tobacco anywhere this year.
I can take you to some.
Okay, well, good to know. But we were just talking about, how a lot of what's being planted and grown and stuff in our county's changed, because I still remember when every open field was a tobacco field. But I know this past year at the Forsyth Tech campus, they hosted an agritourism conference. And that was just a one day, and it was just from like 9 to 12:30. And I myself did not get to go because I wasn't aware of it in time to clear my morning. I'd like to see us expound on that and make that maybe a whole weekend event, or at least a whole day or two, so that we could add some stuff, because a lot of people weren't aware of it. And I think we can build on that and make that into something really, really good. The conference, and it teaches a lot of the farmers skills about grant writing and how to get, and Tori can tell you, there's a lot of resources out there for agritourism, for grants and stuff. And if our county can help in any way to get what you need to get that up and running, we're willing to help.
It's not just about me, it's about the whole.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like I said, a lot of people are not aware of what all the resources are, and that's where that conference could help. So maybe we can grow that this year and do a little bit better job of advertising it. I don't know if Forsyth Tech was in charge of it or if it was a partnership. Tori might know, but we could definitely grow that and support agritourism by, like they said, maybe getting more of the camping available. And so when we have these events and people want to come in from out of town, they can find what they need, places to stay and everything. So very supportive. I don't know if we meet before the Stokes County Fair, agricultural fair, is here, but if we don't, remember that's coming up, I think, around the 8th.
13th or the 17th.
13th, okay. But anyway, we will meet right before that. So just remind everybody that's coming up, and hopefully the COVID has impacted it a couple of years, so hopefully we'll have a good fair this year. Shaver.
Welcome to everybody here. It's nice to see everybody in attendance, and thanks to our superintendent and school board member for being here to share some information about the grant today on our agenda. I appreciate that. And the fair reminds me of, there's also the Stokes Stomp that will happen
Yes, that's
before our
the 10th.
next meeting. I think it's the 48th annual Stomp this year, happening on Saturday, September the 10th. Mayor Witt sent me some info about it the other day. Their theme is Paul's on Parade, and the parade will start in Danbury, of course, as usual, at 10 o'clock, and follow down to Moortalk Park with all the local vendors and music and food. So be sure and participate in that if you haven't in the past. It's a fun event. On the River Street grant, Commissioner Morris stated that about that is correct, as we did get a full allotment of funding through NCDIT for that, for this first round. And that's why the coverage maps are so important right now, because we discovered during our broadband committee meetings how inaccurate the coverage maps were. They just showed a lot more of our county being covered than actually is covered. So the only way we get that corrected is for you to take the survey and correct those maps so we can get the coverage out there, because there is going to be more funding coming up, and the only way to be eligible is if we show the need for that. So please take those surveys as soon as you can to try to update those coverage maps. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Now I'll read the conflict of interest statement before moving any further. Does any board member have a conflict of interest with any of the items on the agenda for today, or one that could be perceived as a conflict of interest? None. All right. And that takes us to the consent agenda and some minutes, budget amendments, and the lottery fund application. Are there any questions about any of those? All right, then I'll entertain a motion for the consent.
Motion to approve consent.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, and item A is the information agenda, and the first item is the Register of Deeds quarterly report. Mr. Hooker. Soon be calling you Papa Hooker.
Not too much longer from that. You hear me on this thing? Okay. Thank you, board, for having me on today. I'm just giving you an update on the fourth quarter of our previous fiscal year and kind of wrap up the year-end numbers for you. You can see you've got the report in front of you, so you can see our recording fees and excise tax collection. Total revenue for the quarter was $204,906.25. I'm not going to break down all those recording stats there for you, but you can see those. You'll see the number of transactions for the fourth quarter over last year for the fourth quarter. It was actually a decrease. It's the first time I've seen a decrease in 3 years, but it was just 1.7%, so it wasn't dramatic at all. And I think we're just starting to level off on our transactions to close to pre-COVID numbers. But revenue was a 12% increase, and that's just those home prices. The excise tax collection has been unprecedented the last 2 years, really. You can see the state collection at $79,464.10, leaving us with a net revenue for the quarter from April 1st to June 30 of $125,442.15. It was a good quarter. It wasn't our best of the fiscal year. That was the second quarter because very large sales happened the last day of the physical year in December. Those assisted living facilities, 2 of them sold in the county for quite a bit of money. So we can't really replicate that. That's an anomaly that you can't budget for. So that was our best quarter on record so far. I'm also, you don't have this in front of you, but I'm going to give you a few numbers for the year at large, which we grossed the 2021-2022 fiscal year $814,673.75, the best year we've ever had. Up about 80,000 over last year, and that year was about 100,000 over the year before. So, like I said, it's just been really astronomical, the increase we've seen, and I don't know if it'll ever level back off to pre-COVID numbers as far as revenue. I think the home prices may stay a little while longer. I heard Mr. Wood spoke at a breakfast I attended Saturday about construction throughout the state. It's not really slowing down. And with the Beltway coming through, I don't know what that's going to do either. We've got the project in Keene coming up, the housing project. I don't know what the numbers are going to do. It may not be as dramatic as the recession as people say it's going to be. I don't know, but we're going to ride the wave, like I said, the last few years, as long as it's there. So the numbers looking good right now. It's leveled off a little bit, but nothing significant. That takes care of my numbers. Our net revenue for the year, we grossed $814,673.75. Net was $508,728. And like I said, a lot of that was the excise tax collection. Expenditures have increased incrementally compared to the revenue increases. I just got with finance this morning, our assistant director, and we contributed this fiscal year $206,715.86 back to the general fund balance after expenditures. $14,230.43 of that was money that we had budgeted and didn't use, but the rest of it was all revenue. So I believe in conservative budgets, conservative revenue estimates, and that's what we've been doing. And we ask for stuff when we need it and not much else. And that's what you're going to get with me as long as I'm here. We're looking forward to this year. I don't expect it to be quite as impressive as the last year, but I don't think we're going to see a sudden drop either. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the county manager and the board for approving every penny of my budget this year. 2 items of interest were some equipment that I asked for. One was an ID maker. You might have seen it if you remembered. I know it's been a few months ago that you looked at it, but I shared the cost with the HR department. They're going to use it to make employee badges, and we're going to use it to implement our Think of It program. And I've spoke about this in the past for the last 2 or 3 years. It's something I campaigned on, and we're going to get it done this year, hoping to kick it off around Veterans Day in November. The legwork is starting now. I'm going to be getting with the King Chamber and any other places I can get to get businesses to solicit them to participate in this program. It was created by the Guilford County Register several years ago. It's been implemented in other counties, in fact, all the surrounding counties that surround us, and it's been highly successful. And there's no cost to the veteran. What happens is they come in and record their military discharge paperwork, also known as a DD-214 form, and once they record it, we take a picture and run it through our ID maker and make them a card. But between now and then, we get the businesses on board to provide a discount when they present that card. The discount's up to the business, whatever they want to offer. And it's a good thing for the veterans. It's a win-win all around. The county gets to provide this service at relatively minimal cost. It was just the cost of the ID maker. There's no cost to the veteran for recording that discharge form, and the businesses get to advertise on our website. I'll be making a list that they participate in our Think of It program. Like I said, it's been highly successful in other counties. We're looking forward to doing that this year. Like I said, hopefully getting it kicked off by Veterans Day, if not before, but pretty good time to kick off the Veterans program, so that's what I'm aiming for. And I think that's about all I have on that one. The other item in the budget was a microfilm and microfiche card reader. For 20 plus years, the original records in our office were not physical books anymore. We quit printing those in 1970. They went to microfilm, microfiche cards after that. And sometimes, as our county attorney and his office can tell you, that the images are not always clear online. When my predecessor went through the digitizing project of all those land records, we're talking 1 million plus records. And at the volume going through those scanners, it's a miracle some of them came out as clear as they did, because I mean that was a labor-intensive project. And so some are not as clear as others, and we do get calls from time to time saying that we can't make out what this says, it just the way the scanner read it. And so we're relying on 30-year equipment now to read those, and they're obsolete. The toner, they don't even make toner for those built-in printers anymore. You can't get people to work on them. And right now one of them's down that we can't use. And so I put this in the budget. A lot of other counties have already gotten theirs. And I've had it in the budget. I think this was the second or third year I've had it in there, and so I was pushing for it this year. I was very thankful for the board and the county manager for recommending it and approving it. And so it's going to be able to clear up those images for us when we have confusion about what a deed says. That's a smudge on a deed can really mess things up. And if you can't get a clear copy, you have to make a call. And if you don't want to make too many calls, that's a lot of liability to have on you. So when you've got a clear record to go by, it makes it a lot easier. And so that's what we're hoping this does for us. I haven't gotten it ordered yet, but it's coming. Our back indexing project, which is also going to be very beneficial to the real estate community, is we're going to have every record from 79 forward, fully indexed by first and last name. Right now, it's 1993 forward. That's when we went with our vendor that we currently have. That's when we went completely digital in the office. And so right now, before that, to look at older records, you have to go on our website and find scanned images of the old index books. Go through all those last names till you find the right first name, then find the book and page. Get out of that system, go back into our imaging system and put that book and page in, then pull the record up. So when we get this completed, now you only have to just search by the first and last name, and all those records will pull right up for that person. It's going to make things a lot easier for paralegals, attorneys, mortgage brokers, the whole industry really. And we've been working on this about 8 months with courthouse computer systems. They do this. They've done this for a lot of other counties, and I talked to our vendor last week about it, and they said that it's all done with the finalization that we should have it ready to import into our database by the end of September. And so that's going to make things a lot easier. And the last thing I'm going to mention is something Commissioner Morris alluded to earlier about the tax bills. Also in there was a snippet about the assumed business names, and I spoke about that last time I was here. And it had the effect that we hoped for. We had a lot of calls about that, and a lot of businesses have saved themselves from their names lapsing in the state database. So it had the effect we were looking for. I was able to work with Richard to get that out there. I'm very grateful for that. And that's all I've got.
Okay. Board members have any questions?
Just a couple.
Go ahead.
And do most of the veterans have their DD 214 recorded? As far as you
Not
know?
as many as you think.
They really should, shouldn't they?
Well, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it's good because it's always a permanent record.
Yeah.
And they're restricted access too, because a lot of them have socials on them. So the state has an 80-year restriction on it. So the public can't get access until the record's 80 years old.
Okay.
I guess they assume by that point the veteran may have done passed on. So yeah, like they're restricted, so it's not a public record, and it's a safe place to keep it.
So if they already have it recorded, then what do they need to do about this thing? Just come in and ask for it, or?
Yeah, we'll just confirm their identity with whatever ID they've got on them, in driver's license, social security card, stuff like that. We'll take. I had that in my notes and.
Should have a military ID card too, some of them.
Yeah, and I know the state has put some things has put that ID on their driver's license too. I think this program actually predates that, so that wasn't a concern to begin with. I don't think it's still not really a concern. I think it's still a great program. But yeah, we'll just confirm their identity with what form of ID they have, and if we have it on record already, we just go ahead and make the picture and issue the card.
Okay, and you're gonna market it a little bit more somehow, or?
Yeah, so I've got a letter typed up to send out. I'll
Okay.
send it to the chamber. They do those, help me out for the ones who know about the chamber. I think there's a, something the first Wednesday of the month. They have a business before hours. I'm
Yeah.
hoping to get on one of those
Okay.
sessions between now and then to really let the chamber know about it. And I'll put some stuff on Facebook, and I'll try to get with the paper and get some
Okay,
things out.
that's all I have, Madam Chair.
All right.
Good report, I like the format of it.
Thank you.
Any other board members?
Now, I just want to say, the amount of increase in technology that you brought to your office, and I've been here with you the whole time you've been in office. You know, it's my 6th year, and I've analyzed each department, and Brandon, I just want to compliment you on the way you are progressing your office. The updates in technology, helping get things moving at a faster pace. I think you've done a great job.
Oh, thank you. It's all in the name of access. That's what we're here for. We're just record keepers. People think we can do all kinds of legal tricks, but we can't do that. We're just here for access, and the only thing I can do is help improve it, so that's what we're doing.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you.
Brandon? Come here, Brandon. Here you go. This is from the board. We have a little first toy.
Oh. Nice guy. Yeah. Very,
Boy or
very,
girl, it can be free.
very representative of the board. Thank you. Thank you very much. My wife's watching.
He's gonna go home and play with it. That's what you have.
Try it out.
I'm just gonna hang out in my office for a while.
There you go. You're welcome. All right, moving on. The next item on the information agenda is the Tourism Summer Internship Project Recap. Tori and Sarah.
I'm taller than Brandon. Thank y'all for letting us be here today for this recap, and I also wanted to say it's been an honor to work here at Stokes County in the Economic Development and Tourism Office since 2015, and even though I focus on tourism, it's a lot of everything, and we keep up with it all. And Sarah was coming here to do this internship, and we started going to industries and new industries moving in, and she was like, well, this isn't all tourism. And I said, well, that's not, we do it all. So she was introduced to some local business owners, and when we were taking photos throughout the area as well. Talking about the agritourism conference, yeah, that was done by the Cooperative Extension, and I did present there on marketing, so that was cool, and it would be great to have it as a weekend event next year. So, let's see, I guess back in March, you started contacting me. Sarah needed an internship to graduate from UNCW, and we were able to get all of the documentation through Ty's office because we've never had an intern in economic development, and all of that got approved, and she started with us on May 23rd doing, we only took 1 week off. She was here every day, the hours we were open here at the county, and unpaid internship too. So I introduced Sarah Martin, and she'll tell you more about herself and where she graduated from.
Hi, I'm Sarah Martin. I have met some of y'all in passing, others I have known for many years now, but I am a Stokes County native, grew up in Sandy Ridge. But yeah, like Tori was saying, I graduated from UNCW this past May, did early graduation, and my major was in tourism, recreation, and sport management with a concentration in events and hospitality management. And I contacted Tori earlier. I've known him all my life. I've gone to church with him. And I was like, Tori, I really need an internship, and I would love to work in small government to actually have a hands-on view with the people in my county. They're always close to my heart. And so doing anything to improve the place that I live and my parents and my grandparents and everybody lives was always a good thing. So we got together. A requirement for my internship was that I had to create a special project, which we titled the Visitor and Hospitality Awareness Plan, which you have a copy in front of you, and we will get to that later in the presentation. And it was a 12-week internship, 480 hours, and another main objective of my internship was to boost the social media presence of the county, which we will talk about in the upcoming slides. So if we want to...
So we'll get started with the presentation. When we started up, just very first day, Sarah fell right into the department, and we had a little meeting and got together on what events were going on that week, and we did this every week on Monday. And Sarah started creating some content through Adobe, and that was part of her project too, is that she had to learn some of the technology that would be required in a tourism-related function or office. We promoted on May 23rd the Huckleberry Shine event at Cove Square, because Cove Square has been doing all kinds of events this year as they've recovered and didn't have anything going on in 2020. The Wanacove cruise-ins were always big and well shared on social media. And then you had local businesses, or like Forsyth Tech, they sent us some information on some jewelry making classes and barn quilt painting, and we were able to put that out there. The social media following, these are screenshots from Instagram. We have about 4,000 followers there. On Facebook, most every post that Sarah put out had over a 10,000 person reach. In Facebook, we have about 13,000 followers. So we get more traction on Facebook than we do with Instagram. But on the Instagram, we started some stories. I hadn't never done stories on Instagram, but Sarah took all that over this summer. So Sarah was working on designing some graphics and flyers that we would put out, and those same graphics were later recycled into brochures that we'll talk about later. Let's see, we released all of this content. The times it was posted to social media were the highest trafficked times that people would be looking at social media, maybe at lunchtime or at the end of the day during dinner and the evening TV watching time period. And we also took the opportunity to visit with new businesses, promote their grand openings like Front Porch Creamery, Dragon Glass Winery, Neatman Creek Disc Golf Course. We went there last week, I think it was. Mm-hmm. So there's 3 posts in here, 4 more posts. Samantha, the first post on the left, she contacted us and needed some content. She didn't know anything about graphic design, so Sarah was able to put something together for her. We put it out there. We put together this grand opening information for Front Porch Creamery because they had a very low following on their social media at the time. And then we promoted long-standing businesses like General Dan Tubing Company, the Dan River Company, Pilot Mountain Vineyards and Winery, and any other special events like music at Foothills and the Arts Council.
And a lot of times, some of these events, they had been ongoing, such as the Wednesday night picking at Foothills. However, they just didn't have either the resources or the know-how to create different flyers or informational graphics to put out to the public. So it was also not only promoting new businesses and new events going on, but also revitalizing the older ones that had been around for a long that some people just hadn't known about.
And this slide shows the stories from Instagram, which also transferred over to Facebook. And you have the very first one that we put out with Huckleberry Shine, 315 views, I suppose that is. And I guess that probably was hit the most because that was probably I had put out a few stories, but that was the first story in a while that had been put out on Instagram. And anytime that we put out content, anything of a scenic view or image, like the second post there from Joe Miyoki, we reshared a sunset view. Those had more traction than just infographic posts. So yeah, our organic infographic posts on the social media, Sarah would also include different GIFs and tags of the location so that you could go over to their Facebook or Instagram page, and we always use the hashtag Stokes Rocks because that's something that I created, I don't know, 4 years ago, because the hashtag StokeCo wasn't just Stokes County. Stokes Rocks was never used, so everything that people search under that hashtag comes back to something that is relevant about outdoor recreation or events in Stokes County. So the graphics that we created and put onto social media were put together into little brochures that we had included in front of the visitor manual there. We did a brochure every week, and this is something that I started in 2020 because we were passing them out at the campground at Hanging Rock because the state park didn't want any visitor flyers in kiosks at the time because they didn't want people touching the opening, so they took them away. So I would go around and individually hand campsites a packet of visitor brochures and this event guide from anybody that had provided them to me to provide to them. So our brochures, me and Sarah, we went up there every Friday. We passed them out to the campers. We got firsthand account of talking with the visitors, their comments about Stokes County, about Hanging Rock, and they were always surprised to see that we filled a 6-panel brochure with events and things to do outside the park. So that was what was included in the brochure, was things outside the park. And most of those things we found out, we were able to tell them they're within a 15 to 20 minute drive of wherever you're at. And the local businesses like Front Porch Creamery, the Arts Place, they would also hand out some brochures to people and customers that were in their locations. So the key thing about this brochure was to bring more awareness and keep people in Stokes County. And this is Sarah's portion.
Okay, so this is my portion about the Visitor and Hospitality Awareness Plan, which I created. It's basically a Stokes County information manual. You have 2 of the 3 versions available to you in front. We based it off of Hanging Rock had a cabin manual located in their cabins. It was very outdated. Some of the information was incorrect, and as the evolution of technology progresses, things kind of can look dated in a couple months. So we created, Tori and I helped me create the foundation of the Visitor and Hospitality Awareness Plan. The binder is what we gave to local businesses throughout the entire county. We went to King, Walnut Cove, Pinnacle, where else did we go? Westfield, Germantown, all of the all of the main portions of the county. And then the spiral bound notebook is what we have been putting in the vacation rentals and lodging facilities. The point of this info manual is to provide a one main source of county information to popular tourist sites such as Hanging Rock State Park and local businesses, as well as vacation rentals such as Airbnbs and VRBOs. We actually have approximately 60 vacation rentals in the county, which can be found on tab 8 of the binder or all the way located in the back of the spiral bound notebook. There are digital QR codes listed that take you directly to those sites as well, so you can book or look for accessibility. The digital QR codes, printed text, and organic images provide multiple ways for the Stokes County Tourism Department to update the manual easily. You can change the information digitally from the QR codes, and then you are also able to just slip a page out of the page protector and then insert it back in. And then if anybody ever takes any of the spiral bound notebooks, they're really easy. Tori has a master PDF copy that we can just print out and get more to the owners. The Visitor Hospitality Awareness Frontline Awareness Plan will provide a way for business owners and tourists to find and share information about the county, in turn helping point-specific tourist saturation evolve into tourist distribution and disperse to less visited areas of the county, as opposed to sending them out to Winston, Stewart, Virginia. And just by circulating tourists throughout the county, we hope to boost local economic growth while stopping the tax dollar leakage, as well as we hope that this will also alleviate some overcrowding in high volume traffic areas, because people aren't just coming, they come for the park and they come for the river. However, we want to make it known that we have other things to offer as well in the county, some more local things that people may not know about. And this is very valuable because, as Tori will mention later, we had an increase in visitor spending revenue, and since we don't collect occupancy tax like some of the counties like Rockingham, we don't have as many resources or funding to go around, so visitor spending is one of the main things we rely on. As well as if you look in tab 7, we also hope to increase the advertisement and publicity of local, seasonal, and annual events. These cover the entire breadth of the county from fall to summer. Fall, as you can see, we literally have something going on probably every weekend, multiple things going on every weekend. So we hope that will also bring awareness to different farms, agritourism, such as the corn mazes and everything like that. And so hopefully that my reason for creating this manual and for this to be my project, I hope that it will have a positive effect on local spending, enabling tax dollars to stay in the county to improve the economy. And I think Tori's going to go in on NC. Visit NC had released their spending impact statistics, which Tori will go over as well.
Thank you, Sarah. So last Wednesday, Visit North Carolina released their impact study results, and even included in the original press release from Whit Tuttle, the director of Visit North Carolina, it highlighted in the box there, it says that Stokes County had, 75 counties in 2021 had a spending that was greater than 2019, and Stokes County had a 66% increase in spending from 2019 to 2021. In 2021 specifically, these results are always released mid-August of the following year. So there was a 48.6% increase in visitor spending to Stokes County, which equals $46.33 million spent locally by visitors. This study is funded and contracted through Visit North Carolina, and they use a study method that is explained in a methodology and data sources slide that I'll have at the very end of this. But this is used by at least half of the states in the United States to estimate spending from those who travel 50 miles or more from their normal routine. And it also takes into effect, which I didn't know this, but it takes into effect some of the findings from STR, Air DNA, and key data. When Sarah was here during her internship, we had a presentation from Placer.ai, and they were able to pinpoint King Central Park during one of their Feed Stokes events, and it was able to show how many people were in that park based off of cell phone data. So there's a lot of statistics that are out there that are kept, and those are all thrown in here. And that data was able to tell me when they traveled from the park to D'Addario and what businesses they would have went to. It's amazing what is available. So if you look at the spreadsheet that came from all 100 counties, Stokes County, the state estimates that $12.01 million are attributed to lodging, $15.37 million attributed to food and beverage, $5.69 attributed to recreation, and you have retail and transport information there as well. But the total number there, $46.33 million. And in tourism, the study estimates that 236 people are employed in the tourism recreation industry. and that they make about $8.9 million in payroll. And the local tax dollars that stay local are $1.6 million. And that is a saving of $78.57 per resident in Stokes County, that if that money wasn't here and those visitors weren't spending and shopping at the local businesses or eating at the local restaurants or attending an event, that some of the taxes, you'd have to have that amount per taxpayer to balance your budget. And of course, with that, even during the pandemic, people were finding Stokes County, they enjoyed outdoor recreation. They found a new love for outdoor recreation. This was a topic all across the nation, even in North Carolina. North Carolina in 2023 is going to focus on the trail state, and they've been pushing an outdoor North Carolina initiative and a Leave No Trace initiative. They're going to be doing more of that in 2023 along with the Year of the Trails, because you want to take care of your great outdoors after you found it during the pandemic when you're trying to spread out and enjoy time with your family and get out of the cabin fever that you might have been in. So it's just great that these stats are there, and luckily we've seen an increase in visitor spending ever since I've been in the department. So that's the last time that there was a decrease was in 2008, 2009, but that was across the whole state and the nation, I'm sure. So let's see what else. Oh, I should have put this slide up when I was talking about all that. But let's see. Yep, luckily all of the local businesses, many of our local businesses shifted to stay open. The restaurants, they had takeout or curbside. General Dan Tubing, Hillside Tubing, they made accommodations and had people fill out their flyers or their waivers online. They limited the number of people on the bus. The Dan River Company, they were closed in 2020, but they reopened in 2021 and had one of their best years. The tubing businesses had their best year in 2020, but people followed Count on Me North Carolina regulations and suggested procedures, and we were able to make it through and had an increase in 2020 as well. So it's just people are finding Stokes County and they love the area. And also in 2020 we had some funding from NCTIA grants and Visit North Carolina marketing credits where we had a commercial produced. We won't play the commercial because I didn't know if it would play in here if there would be sound. But we had a lot of we had this commercial produced. We had some new photos captured. And this commercial aired as a local spot on Channel 2 after the final touchdown of the Super Bowl in 2021. So that was pretty cool, and we had a lot of hits to our website. And along with that marketing, we utilize our budget as best we can to keep advertising to the Triangle, to Charlotte, to Ohio, all around in the southeast, to get people to know that we're the mountains away from the mountains, and that you can, this video has a nice song behind it that Eddie McGee helped to write. And it was used back in the early 2000s for a little spot that maybe Ron Morgan had done. But we rehashed the song and brought it back to life. And we're actually going to be using it in some targeted streaming commercials with WXII this fall and next spring. And that was something else that Sarah got to witness. I included her on every meeting that I ever had with advertising representatives or the Piedmont Triad Destination Marketing Organization. We collaborated with each of those organizations. Sarah put in input, and hopefully I helped to make you more aware of tourism industry in a local rural area.
Yeah, and I just wanted to thank everybody for having me this past summer. Tori does a lot for the county. I didn't really realize how much until you actually see what the man's schedule is, and he never writes any of it down, and he somehow remembers it all. Somehow. Barely. But no, I just wanted to thank y'all for having me, and thank Tori again for having me as an intern. And I'll probably see y'all around. So thank you.
All right, hang on a second. I'm sure board members have comments. I'll start down here with Commissioner Morris.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sarah, thank you very much for coming and doing this for the county. Looks like a really good product that you produced, and I would say maybe come back a year from now if the numbers go up and take credit for the increase based on your work, and they probably will. And also, congratulations on your graduation and your post-college career, whatever that happens to be. Just keep us informed on what you're doing.
Yeah, the world may never know at this point. So
Yeah.
we'll
Thank
see.
you. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
All right.
Yeah, it was good to meet you early on when you come, and obviously you've done a lot of great work here and helping out with Tori and them. I'd like to see that number in that far right column go up for us some, and since I've been on this board, I've been a big advocate for the occupancy tax here in the county. Unfortunately, I don't think we're getting much success from the state level to get that here, so I'd like to see keep that trying, but everything you got here looks really great. I'm real impressed with everything that was put together on this. Was the restaurants, did they pay for any kind of advertising this, or it was just listed?
Yeah, this was all just me combining all of the information around the county. The restaurants didn't have to pay for anything. The only time we really contacted restaurants was to make sure that their phone number and any type of address was correct, as well as any of the other local businesses, because sometimes on different information with Google and then Bing, they just have conflicting information. So that's why we wanted to compile a source where people could actually get the correct information, and we're also going to combine the master file and add it to our website so people can have a digital copy of the info manual as well.
Good. I just seen like a couple wasn't listed. That's the reason why I was asking. Maybe they pay for any kind of advertising or anything like that on it.
Yeah, somebody wasn't listed. We have made a correction that it may have not been updated in that book, the Starbound book maybe.
Yeah.
But we can easily make and go and re-insert the page. And if it was left out, it was not intentional.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
And one of the things, we don't really have a business license, and it's hard to keep track of unless you've created, I mean, Richard can give me a spreadsheet, but it includes 10,000 listings and Pepsi machines on corners.
Right.
So,
Either way, it still looks really good, and I'm impressed with it. But thank you guys for all your hard work, and thank you for coming and hanging out with us this summer.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Keeps you in.
Oh, sure. How long do I have?
2 minutes.
I it's good to see you again, Sarah.
Yeah, good to see you
It's
too.
been a while,
Yeah.
but it's very nice to have you back in Stokes County. I knew you were doing your internship here, and it always makes me proud of some of the schools that I was principal at, and when the students come back here. So it's good to see you again. Got a question for you in a minute, but and I want to say something about Tori. Tori really does a lot of things behind the scenes that people don't see. And I'll give you an example. I'm on the Stokes Partnership for Children Board, and every fall we have a barbecue for books where we raise money where children can get books sent to their homes. And Tori has helped us out tremendously with the barbecue of books. And we appreciate it because you are a tremendous help. That's coming up soon. If I happen to have any tickets, I know Dr. Rice will have some. He's on our committee. But all these people in here that I bought tickets from in the past, I can't count how many tickets I bought from all the schools and everything, but I'll be seeing all of y'all and asking for a return favor. Sarah, I'm going to ask you a question. I know you get asked all the time, at least I ask. I have a stepson and a family that lives in Wilmington. And my niece, she goes to Laney High School, and my other one, my nephew goes to Easton Elementary, and about 5 minutes from Wrightsville Beach. And the problem is this, is when students from Stokes County, when students from Stokes leave and go to UNCW, they don't ever come home. There's something about that beach down at Wilmington that they want to stay. And so that's a 4-hour drive for me and my wife to go see our grandkids. And, you know, I'm not as young as I used to be. So when you graduate or Are you coming back to Stokes County? Are you going to stay in Wilmington, or do you know what you're going to do yet?
Oh, yeah, definitely not staying down there. I honestly couldn't handle the traffic, and there was all the talk in my classes. They're expanding to Leland just because of the amount of overcrowding and tourism industry is happening in Wilmington. They have nowhere for people to live, and so they're expanding that port city into Leland, and so I will be happy to get back on my back roads where I don't have to stop at 5,000 traffic lights.
That's good. I like to hear that. Because in all honesty, I mean, it's something about UNCW. I think Sonia knows. I know that she has dealt with a lot of students in the past. And something about UNCW, when they go down there, they just don't want to come back this way. But I'm glad to hear that you're open to coming back to the good old country of Stokes County.
Sure.
That's all I have.
All right.
Sarah, first, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I think you were the one that I didn't get to meet.
Yeah, it's okay, but it's nice to meet you. Congratulations on your schooling. Troy, you have done an outstanding job. I've lived in this county all my life, and I was sitting here looking through this brochure that y'all put together, and I see a lot of places I didn't even know was in this county that didn't even exist.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the part y'all mentioned, the carp ponds, because I'm a big carp fisher. So, and I will tell you that brings a lot of revenue to this county. We got guys that come as far as 4 counties away in this county. And the wedding places, I help do catering, so I've been to some of those. Didn't realize there was that many in this county. A lot of people need to get out and look at these places, because a lot of these places are really, really nice, every one I've been to so far. But again, y'all have done an outstanding job. And me and the gentleman was having a conversation this morning about the tourism here, and we've talked about Hanging Rock. And nothing against Hanging Rock whatsoever. He said, we need to look further than Hanging Rock. We've got other places in this county as well to bring attraction to people. And I totally agree with you. And it went right back to the conversation that Mr. Barr said earlier, and we was talking about places to stay. And that was one of the biggest issues. But again, y'all have done an outstanding job with this. I'm really impressed. Joey, y'all did it good, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank you for all your hard work on this project. I mean, this is something we can keep around and update, and it's just such a good resource for tourism in our county. And did you say it can be digital too? You can do a digital, like people just want to scan a QR code?
Yeah, we can. We've compiled all the PDF files into one master PDF, and we're going to upload it on the website as well. But we can also change the information that those QR codes take you to, so that way you don't. Even if you want to change the QR code, you don't have to change the whole page. You can just change it digitally on there.
Awesome.
Yeah, and look at the accommodation area of the booklet too. Each of those vacation rentals have their site on Airbnb or VRBO, and you can hold your camera phone up.
I just did one, tested it while y'all were talking.
And you can see their availability calendar.
Yeah, it's cool.
And most people would rather you go through that booking site than to call them directly. But if they had a number available, we listed that too.
Yep, that's really neat. And I didn't realize there were so many of them in the county, which does bring us back to the occupancy tax that Commissioner Nicholson talked about, something that needs to be explored a little further. And to clarify that a little further, that would be something paid by the people renting, not by the owners of the property. So it would just be like when you go to Myrtle Beach or wherever and you pay that little bit of additional tax to stay there, it goes to the county, municipality, whatever. So it would be worth exploring, I think, again. And this just shows how many actually we have in the county, and why that would be beneficial. And the visitor impact report is so much good information. And I first saw this right before you posted it. I think WFMY or one of the TV stations actually had a story, and it talked about Stokes being in like the top 5 or something for increase of tourism dollars being spent in the state. Is huge. And so I think the word's getting out, for sure.
And Hanging Rock State Park didn't really have any overcrowding this year to where they had to send people away, maybe just from the lake. But in 2021, they had just under 900,000 visitors, which was the top amount of visitors that they'd ever had since they were counting it through the trackers on the tires on the road when they track that.
I tell you, the biggest thing is one that Wayne mentioned, the increase in wedding venues. It's unbelievable. If you want to get married, anybody in here not married, you want to get married, you have no trouble finding a wedding venue in Stokes County. They're everywhere. I mean, I just go down Dodgetown Road and you'll see 2 or 3 right there. And then you get into Sandy Ridge, King. I mean, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
You want to get married? You've been married before and you want to marry a second time.
Most of those places can hold 200 people too, and so you got to think that those people are trying to find a place to stay locally if they're in the area. And even this weekend, the barn at Shelton Farm was used by a class reunion from South Stokes, a 10-year class reunion. So it's more than weddings, it's class reunions. You can have a business retreat if somebody from Charlotte wants to bring their business here and go to a zip line tour or tube the river, kayak. You can plan a whole retreat.
Thank you. Well, and Sarah, thanks again for all your hard work, and we're glad you're back in our county, and we look forward to big things from you in the future. We really appreciate your work, and so glad you got to intern with Tori, and we appreciate Tori's hard work, and thanks again.
And one other quick question. Did y'all guys mention, or you guys mentioned something called Needman Creek Golf Course?
I think I did mention that.
We don't
Was it
have a
in my
golf
slide?
course in the county I'm not aware of.
Oh, it's a disc golf course.
Oh,
Yeah,
disc
yeah. Me and Sarah went there last week. It's 35 acres, 18-hole disc golf course. And he started it in 2021, and it's just $5 per person, honor system, you drop it in. But it's really neat. Took us on a tour. We got all kinds of...
It's privately owned, and I think he said like their first hole is ranked at one of the highest in North Carolina. And then he showed us there is a high saturation of disc golf courses in North Carolina. It's really a booming sport that's going around, and they were saying themselves that they go to different places through the coast and everything, and they play disc golf because
Is that
they
near Snyder's Barn? Is it near Snyder's Barn? Yeah.
One more thing that we've gone long, but there's an app for those disc golf courses too. So if somebody's at Hanging Rock and they have that app, they like disc golf, they can find the pinpoint for his, and that's just people spreading out. And that's one good thing. The businesses, if they will list their stuff on Google and make sure that they have that digital presence, people who are in the area can find them. And
That's awesome.
hopefully our booklet and the app will help that as well. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. The first item on discussion is the tax office agenda. We don't have any baby presents for you.
Good afternoon. I tell you, this is 2 weeks in a row, 2 times in a row Amber's done this to me. Last time I had to follow behind Eddie, then I have to follow
There you
behind
go.
Dad. So, but this will start off like every month, our monthly tax collection status report. We're off to a good start for the school operating county. We've collected $232,000 so far. That doesn't sound like a lot, but keep in mind the taxpayers were just sent out July the 27th. And before I come up, I run a report to see where we were at into the 3rd week of August, and that number is actually $4.8 million right now. So the money's coming in. So that's good. Next item is our releases less than 100. We have 20 accounts. That's $571.44. Then we had refunds less than 100. That's 2 accounts. That's $47.07. Releases more than 100, 14 accounts that total $3,802.55. And then the final category is refunds over 100. And that's 4 accounts that total $1,222.58. I have 2 disabled veteran exclusion applications. That's late. I have 6 late applications for elderly exemption. And we have 2 present use value late applications and 1 late application for religious exemption. Then I just asked for the following items to be moved to the September 12th consent agenda, and that's be releases and refunds more than 100, and then the disabled veterans late application, the elderly exemption late application, and the present use value late applications, and the 1 religious exemption late application. And then I did get some good news right before I come up. Usually at the last week of August, we get our public utilities. And you hold your breath on that because the state values that after the budget's already been set. And last year, we were $814 million. This year, we're $856 million, $42 million increase on the 66-cent tax rates. I think $277,200. So that's good. And majority of that's Duke Energy. They're 93% of that $856 million number. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Any questions?
Good report.
Good report. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, the next item will be the needs-based public school fund grant, and we have Dr. Rice here.
With each person that comes up here was a less and less percentage that are getting presents, so I was 100% starting off, and I was feeling really good. I only have about 20%, so it's not looking real good that I'm walking out with a gift. But I'm here to get a gift for the school district today and a gift for the county. We have been doing some investigation on the needs-based public school capital fund grant. This is part of a lottery funds that is not already designated for the county. And so in doing this, we are bringing 4 projects that we are filled out the applications for roofing projects at North Stokes, Piney Grove, Walnut Cove, and West Stokes High School. The total of these grants are about $5.4 million. The grants are for about $5.1 million, and we would have to do a 5% match, which is about $269,750. We could use that out of the capital funds that y'all have already given us this year, or if y'all want to write us another check, we'd gladly accept it. Either way, we are pursuing this for the $5.125,250,000 for the grant. So if the board approves us pursuing this grant, and y'all could move that to action, to vote on that, to get Ms. Cox to sign off on that application, we'll take it to our board this evening and have them vote on it and sign off on it and submit that grant this week. So I apologize for the short notice. By the time we got all the information for this grant is due September 1st. So, but this would bring, and again, an additional $5.1 million to the county without using taxpayer money. Are there any questions?
Awesome. Any questions?
Oh, sounds good.
No,
Somebody asked me about this, and I'm glad you're doing it.
Yeah.
I've been over it a couple times. This is a good job.
Yeah.
That's good. Looking at, cause those 4 roofs that, Walnut Cove, Piney Grove, North Stokes, I believe was one of them.
North Stokes is the band and the field house. Piney
Field
Grove
house.
is the main building. Walnut Cove's the main building, and West Stokes is the main building. And I know that everybody thinks of West Stokes being our new school, but it's 23 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And that field house, that's the original,
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
original field house.
Wow. Okay. Well, I don't think we have any questions. We appreciate your diligence in looking for this money and finding it and getting it to us. And we'll, if it's okay with the board, we'll move it to action. Today will be item C. On action. Thank you.
Dr. Rice,
Oh,
if you
yes,
would
sir.
come here for a second. On behalf of the Stokes County Board of Commissioners, I give you this fireball right here. I'm not saying your brand's bad or anything, but I gotta give you something.
I got one too.
Usually have more of a selection, sorry.
Where,
I don't know where our candy
what's
is.
happened to the candy?
Got a candy bandit, I think. Don't
It's a
know.
shortage of it
Well,
right now.
hey, we've got our attorney here. We can have him investigate what's happened to our candy, I mean. You know.
Yeah, we need a full investigation for where our candy's going.
You know I gotta have a little fun while I'm up there.
All right, good deal. Item C is the proposed amendment to the informal public comment rule, and I had asked for us to look at this once again. Mainly, I was concerned about the perception that we were trying to limit free speech, and although personally I don't feel like that, I know that wasn't the intent of this change. If that seems to be the public's perception, and it's impeding anybody coming to us with comments that they feel like, that they would want to make, and they're not doing it just because. I know we haven't had to ask anybody not to speak or to gavel anybody down or anything, but if my suggestion was just be to take out that sentence that's highlighted in red. I mean, yellow. I am not colorblind. In yellow. But my personal opinion to be to leave in the decorum part of that and just omit that sentence, the two sentences actually.
Madam Chair, would you read the two sentences for the
Yes,
people?
that we would be deleting, what says, all comments should pertain to relevant matters within the board's authority and jurisdiction, and no campaign speeches are permitted. So it would just be the deletion of that from this rule.
What part were you going to leave in, Madam Chair?
Just the rest of it. Do you want me to read it?
All the rest of it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm fine. I thought you were talking about one specific sentence.
No, just taking out the part in yellow that I just read. So, that I just read, not the color red. I'm really getting confused. So if it's okay with, and there's no, we can discuss it, but we can.
I just have one comment. Even with taking that out, it still don't change anything. I want the citizens to understand that even with taking that thing out, it still don't change any rules of what's talking, because the main word right here is should. So the difference between, if it said shall, then yeah, that pretty much restricts what people can do. And about the only thing to campaign speeches, I think enough people in the past till recently has had enough respect not to come here campaign. It's for county business, not for their personal stuff. If the public want to hear that, that's fine, but honestly, I think it's what we handle county business here, and even taking that sentence out still ain't going to change anything, so I'm with it.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm good with removing those, and my opinion is that time belongs to the person making the comments, just like our comments belong to us. I think that'll be an improvement.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else have any? Well, we'll have it on action at the next meeting then. It's not anything we got to act on today. Thank you. All right, moving on. That was discussion. Proposed amendments to the board rules of procedure, and I think Amber will talk about this for us. Go ahead.
Yeah. So there are just a few proposed changes to the rules of procedure that we need to look over. The first has to do with closed session. The decision of the Stokes County Board of Commissioners to audio record all closed session meetings was approved at the July 25th Board of County Commissioners meeting. So the rules of procedure just need to be amended to reflect this change. And if you look at your agenda, that's Rule 8, broadcasting and recording meetings under the rules of procedure. And it would state that all closed session portions of Board of Commissioners meetings will be audio recorded. The clerk to the board shall use recordings to generate detailed minutes and general accounts of the meetings. Once these documents are officially approved by the board, recordings will be destroyed accordingly. Is there any questions about that first proposed change?
No.
Then the next proposed change has to do with virtual meetings. The board needs to decide whether they would like to allow for virtual meetings to continue to occur and what are the stipulations behind that, if so. With the governor's emergency order for COVID ending Monday, August 15th, the state statute only allows for virtual meetings to take place under this emergency order. So now that has ended. Public bodies will, including governing boards such as the County Commissioner Board, must amend their bylaws or rules of procedure if they would like to continue having the option to hold virtual meetings.
Okay. So this, we recently had a JCPC meeting, and it came up there, and it came up in our DSS board meeting that while we were under the governor's emergency order, it was still allowable, I guess, but moving forward, I know in the DSS board, we amended the bylaws there to allow for it, and I just guess we need to decide if we want to continue to allow for that. If somebody is sick, or like Mr. Mendenhall had surgery and needs to come, Skype in or Zoom or call in, if we're still going to allow that.
And I guess just talk about the specifications too, like if you wanted to allow virtual participation, whether that means you can vote virtually or just participate virtually and not have a vote if you're zoomed in, or just the
Right.
stipulations surrounding that.
I feel like personally, if you're going to be able to zoom in or participate, you should be able to fully participate.
Madam Chair, if I may, I certainly think our governor removed the emergency act this past week. That's not the only time that something, as you said, may come up where we need to have the meeting virtually. Personally, I think we need to, as a governing body, because it doesn't have to come from the governor, the county commissioner board can make this decision. Personally, I think you never know what might happen. I mean, COVID certainly was the emphasis on this. However, anything could happen at any time that we would need to have a meeting virtually. And I'm like you, if we're going to have a virtual meeting, and that person sits through and contributes, gives their feedback, etc., I certainly think they need to be able to have the right to vote on any action item of that nature. That's my opinion.
All right. Any other discussion?
Madam Chair, every board I've been on, like you just stated, has gone through this same procedure, same question. Every one of them has approved it so far, keeping the option open, even though the idea is to minimize the use of them and just use them when you have to. But I think we probably should keep the option open. First of all, we may need it to make a quorum sometime for some important issue that we're voting on. It would probably help with emergencies if we have to have an emergency meeting and people are scattered out. You could use it for that. Like I said, I don't make it the exception, but at least have the option available. And then I would agree with being able to vote as well. But I thought at one point in time there was a statutory reason or statutory thing that said you couldn't do that. But that may not be right about that. But it seemed like at one time Ty didn't want us voting, and I thought
I used to advise.
I thought it was based on a statute, but it may not have been. So
I remember when Commissioner Walker was out all that time, he said he could participate, but he couldn't vote. And he especially didn't want him to vote in like a tie-break situation or anything like
Remember,
that.
in a situation such as COVID,
Yeah, but when
we
after
had
that,
all
I'm not
those
sure.
virtual meetings, and we were allowed to vote.
I don't see the difference in voting virtually or voting in person, but unless there's a statutory
Do
thing
you
that
know of any
says
statute
can't
that
do
would
it.
prevent us from
No.
voting?
No, and I defer to Ty, but in doing some research in preparation for today's meeting, it seems to suggest that if you're going to allow participation remotely to constitute your quorum for taking action, that those people have to be able to vote.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of caution given about people being, the remote attendee being the tie-breaking vote or the deciding vote, as well as the one who winds up kicking you over into that quorum. There is not a statutory provision allowing this, but there's also not one that says you can't do the remote stuff. So the statutes are silent as to whether you can do this or not right now. There's not been any court cases that I can find that said it's a...
So as far as you're saying that if we go ahead and say, as myself and Commissioner Morris both have agreed that we should have the option, we should keep the option of being able to have virtual meetings in case of any type of situation that comes up, you see nothing that says the person that is participating remotely, or if it's the entire board, I mean, you see no statute that would prevent that person from voting.
That's right.
You see nothing. Okay, because I think,
It'd be risky,
but I
but
think,
there's
I certainly
nothing that
think,
says you can't.
to me, I mean, if you've got an action item and that person has participated in the discussion, you know, you've got a motion, then you have discussion, and then it's time to vote, whether it's, they would be a tie-breaking vote or not. To me, they've just participated in the whole process. They should be able to allow to vote, that's my opinion.
Yeah, everything I've read doesn't say you can or can't, it just talks about the risks of doing so. So I think you can. You might be open to a challenge one day if it's a particularly hot issue or vote, but nothing.
I don't know what the risk would be unless it's just they think you're under duress or something.
Somebody's off camera holding a gun.
When I had surgery, I was under duress. Yeah, my knee was hurting so bad, I had a whole lot of duress and stress, but.
Possibly.
Like you hiding something, it's recorded.
Yeah, vice versa.
The risk would just be that there isn't a statute that says you can participate remotely in a county commission.
Oh, okay.
And so someone could say, well, this vote wasn't properly held because the persons were attending by remote attendance, even though the board's regulations say they can. Statutes don't say you can or can't. So you could get a challenge. I don't think the courts in this day and age would go that direction, but you can't ever tell.
The thing about it is, if it's a situation that's not an emergency and not your whole board can be there, you could always postpone a vote until everybody's there in person. If it's a real tenacious issue that could be, something that could be viewed that way, I think then you could always just not vote until everybody's can vote in person, unless it's just an emergency situation.
I'll say unless, just for example, such as the school situation today. Yeah, I think Dr. Rice said they needed that by September 1st. Well, we don't meet again before September 1st.
Right.
So that's why we need to move into action and take that vote. And that's the type of situation, I think.
Yeah.
You would have to go ahead and allow the vote then.
Yeah, because there could be a situation where you wouldn't have a quorum except virtually, and you'd want to go ahead and do it.
We don't want to lose that grant money that they're asking for just because we.
My thing would be just maybe to try to not have anything that's really controversial voted on virtually, if you can help it.
And that's not really anything you can write into the procedures.
Right. I think so. So we'll have this on for
It's
action.
really rare too, that would just be 2 of you here in person.
Right.
And 3 of you here virtually, so which would be like attaining your quorum through virtual meetings.
Yeah,
That's
that would be
really,
rare.
Would be really, really rare.
Yeah, I can work with the county attorney's office to word something and we can. have
Okay.
that
Action
for
next
our
time.
Next meeting,
All right, that sounds good. Thank you.
along with the closed session.
All right, we'll have that on action at the next meeting, and that takes us to item A on action, which is the Fifth Amendment to the Board of Trustees bylaws. And if, Commissioner Morse, could you remind us what were we changing about it that we were holding it over to this meeting? Was there a change?
I don't remember. There was one little administrative change of one word, but it was nothing real substantial.
Something about, I know the one thing we talked about last was the fiscal year running from July or
Yeah.
June. That was one thing, but I was trying to think of it when I was reading over it last night, and I was like, I don't remember why we held it over now.
It was something of not of great importance, but something that needed to be corrected to be correct, I think, so.
And that might have been what it was, I
The
can't
one word
remember.
change.
Yeah, it was one word, I remember we talking about it, would or could or something like that.
All right. Do any board members have any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Fifth Amendment to the Board of Trustees bylaws.
Motion.
All right, second.
I'll
Second.
second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the next item, if there's no questions, is the Stokes County Courthouse Private Use Policy. Are there any questions on that?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item C is the needs-based grant fund, excuse me. Let me pull it
Yeah.
up here.
It'd be good if you could read the policy.
Okay, yeah, I
I'll
think
print her a copy of it before she leaves.
we can print you one, so you can take it with you today. Let me open it.
You mean to read it? I've got it pulled up.
Yeah, if you've got it pulled up, go
It
ahead.
says the Stokes County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the following use policy for any private use of the Stokes County Courthouse. 1, any use of the courthouse other than for judicial and court-related functions must be approved by the senior resident Superior Court judge for Judicial District 17B. Approval of any such use shall be in the sole discretion of the senior resident Superior Court judge, and shall be subject to the administrative order regarding courthouse security entered on February 9th, 2022, and such other requirements and restrictions that may be imposed by the senior resident superior court judge. Number 2, any such approved use shall also be subject to coordination with the Stokes County Sheriff's Office to provide security, including the payment of all expense for such security. And number 3, any party using the courthouse for such approved use shall be strictly liable for any and all damages arising out of or in any way connected with such approved use. So it's pretty much just giving the judge their veto power to pretty much say that an event can't be held there. They still have to go through the same process and get the sheriff's office to do the security for it if somebody does use it.
Well, we're already past that, what you just read.
Not completely. We didn't give them the power to veto anything that might come there. We just passed the part about the sheriff's office and paying the fees to the sheriff's office.
No, we've been told we can't meet there.
Oh, well, I think this is for any group that wanted to meet there for any reason, that they would have the power to say they could or could not do that.
This is the ruling in February.
This is based off the administrative order that was completed in February of 2022.
That's all done.
Yeah.
Yep.
This just clears it up moving
Yeah, it's
forward for
just-
anybody that
yeah,
might want
just to
use it.
clarify.
Judge asked for a little bit more.
More clarity, just to be sure, yeah.
Okay, so,
You did read that the sheriff's group would still
Yes.
get paid.
Yeah, that it would still, even once you get approval, the second line in this states that you still have, that person is still, or group, still has to coordinate with the sheriff's office to provide security and provide that payment for that.
okay, all right. So on the table, we had the needs-based grant funding for the school system. Do I have a
We
motion?
vote on this.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
already
we voted.
voted on the courthouse one.
Well, I tell you, I must have got by me.
I'm having that trouble today too.
We voted on it and then went back and read it afterwards.
That's probably what got me
Yeah, that
mixed up.
Okay, so we're on item C now. Do I have a motion to approve?
Approved.
All right,
Second.
all those in favor? Aye. So there's no closed session, and
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all those in favor? Aye. Stand adjourned.